Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have a mighty review of WWE 2K22. Now, I have the NWO version of the game, so essentially this is my general overall review of the NWO version of the game, as well as this is for the PC. Understand that this is on multiple platforms, so this is the PC version of the game. Now, the dev is Visual Concepts, the publisher is 2K Sports. I don't think that's actually changed from 2K19 to 2K20 to 2K22. It was released March of 2022 for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows PC, Xbox One, and Xbox X Series. Now, a lot of my comparisons here and how I feel about the game is based on 2K19, as that is the game I had previous to this one. I did not have 2K20. And understand this one and 2K19 are the only 2K WWE 2K games I have. So I kind of do have a narrow prospect, but that being said, I have over four maybe 600 hours in WWE 2K19, so played a hell of a lot of 2K19. So I got a quite good measuring stick here, if you will. So between the two games, one thing I'm definitely going to mention is the improved graphics. I mean, the graphics definitely feels like a huge step up, with really not requiring much more in the way of hardware. Yes, this does demand slightly better hardware, but I wouldn't say overly so much so. It is still online supported. 2K19 is no longer online supported. It does have better music, but it doesn't seem like it has a lot of music. There definitely is a lackluster amount of music in the game. The roster overall is pretty decent. It's not as good as 2K19, to be honest. I think 2K19's roster was a lot better, a lot fuller, a lot less reliant on the community, downloading community, created wrestlers. But still, it's still a rather decent roster. Many of the created wrestler stuff actually does remain, but there's also quite a few changes there as well, which I'll dive into here in a bit. Obviously, you still have custom shows, you have custom arenas, custom matches, custom titles. None of that's really changed from my universe mode, as well as just basic stuff that's already in the game. It does have a GM mode, which I didn't really get to try, but if you're into that sort of thing, and I guess some people really like it, that doesn't really sound like my cup of tea. I prefer the universe mode myself. Seems like it's more creative, and you can get more involved in the wrestling, playing the booker, if you will. The one thing I definitely did notice when messing with this game is that the controller keyboard support just seems overall better between the two games. It's better, but it's not the best. Not the best by any stretch of the imagination with any games I've played, but it does pretty good. And it definitely does better than 2K19 did. There's no download limit. For some odd reason, there was a daily download limit for WWE 2K19, and they got rid of that here. Now, I'm not sure if that was in 2K20 or if they'd got rid of that for 2K20, but I definitely appreciate the fact that there was no download limit. I could download pretty much all the shit I wanted to at once. The gameplay, I want to say, looks more streamlined. I'm going to be honest, it's not more streamlined. I've seen a lot of people make claims that it's more streamlined. No, it is not more streamlined. It looks more streamlined. There's a difference, especially when you actually have to add additional steps into the gameplay. So, yeah, I've seen people make that claim, and no, they've literally added an additional steps to do tie-ups, to do grapple moves and stuff of that nature. It's fine. It does work. The additional step is not a huge pain in the ass. It was at first, but that's because I'm used to 2K19, where it's pretty much 2 buttons to do a move, where here they kind of changed it to 4. So I don't know where the hell this whole idea of, oh, the gameplay is more streamlined. No, no, no. It is easy to learn, though. The changes are pretty easy to learn, pretty easy to pick up. I do have to say that the announcers definitely seem improved. Sometimes the announcers in WWE 2K19 was very potato. That's not so much the case here. They generally feel overall better. Is it the best ever? No, but it's definitely better. There's another rival slot for those of you who are interested in the universe mode. I don't know what 2K20 had, but 2K19 had 3 slots for rivals. This one has 4, and I definitely appreciate having 4 slots for rivals. Now, the stuff that honestly, in my opinion, is not disappointing is just absolutely shit. And this is absolutely shit because, let's just say, a 5-year-old game did this stuff better. The menus, first off, are not ergonomic. Constantly loading from menu to menu and constantly doing something like if I wanted to edit wrestlers, I'd have to do one wrestler at a time, and every time I did a wrestler and I went to save and exit the area, the part that I'm doing the editing in, it would go back to the main menu. What the fuck? Why not just stay in the character menu? Why do I have to keep going back to the main menu? And it would just constantly more load times in this game because of it. Well, the same way with shows, the same way with setting up arenas. The only place that wasn't the case was custom matches. Every time I got done doing a custom match, it would just go back to the custom match creator screen. So I have no idea why they made that change. WWE 2K19 did it way better, and the load times were nowhere near as long. The created wrestlers, I'm going to be honest here, the created wrestlers are not as customizable as they used to be. The one thing that stood out in my mind is there's no longer a slider to set your wrestler's weight. That's one thing that stood out in my mind the most, as well as there's some other stuff that stands out as well. Now, that being said, yeah, you can argue that the creator stuff is more streamlined than it used to be. But when the game is saying that my wrestler is like 300 pounds, when he probably should only be around 240, yeah, that's kind of an issue. Their weight system is way off. The wrestlers always ended up seeming to be heavier than they really should have been. The microtransactions in this game. Oh my God, Randy Pitchford would be so fucking pleased with the microtransactions in this game. I don't understand how, well, particularly the NWO version is $120, which is twice the price of the normal game, and it's got to be polluted with microtransactions. No, kiss my ass. Still a pain to mod when it comes to doing actual mods itself. This is definitely, the 2K series of games is definitely, they don't want their games modded. I don't understand why they just don't, put their pride to the side and realize that people are going to mod these games. But whatever. I mean, the programs are out there. They really need to make it more user-friendly when it comes to modding. They just need to get over themselves. Oh. Stuff locked for no reason. Why? Just why? I mean, at least with WWE 2K19, yes, there was stuff in that game that was locked. You'd have to go do the... I don't even remember what the mode's called. Like, for this one, it features Rey Mysterio Jr. And honestly, I really couldn't care about the mode. And yes, there was stuff, like I said, with WWE 2K19 that was locked. But that stuff could also be unlocked. You didn't have to... There was like a cheat to unlock that stuff, so you didn't have to play through that part of the game if you didn't want to, which for that one, it was Bryan Daniel is who they featured. Now, for this one, they featured Rey Mysterio Jr., which is fine. I sort of like Rey Mysterio Jr. I really liked it back in the day when he was in WCW. And it was nice to kind of hail back to those really early career moments, well, particularly the early career moments of Rey Mysterio here in America, just after he got out of WCW, and he's headlining Halloween Havoc with Eddie Guerrero. I thought that was really cool. It kind of reminded me that I was like, oh yeah, that match was a really good match. And yes, folks, I remember watching that match live, so that kind of dates back me. But why does it got to be locked? If I don't want to play this mode, I don't want to play this mode. Stuff shouldn't be locked to me. Like, I shouldn't be penalized because I don't want to play this mode. I still want to play the game. Especially when you're looking at the fact that, once again, the NWO edition of this game is $120. Please, kiss my ass. Can't import tag teams to Universe mode. Why? Still, why? This has been a feature that people have been complaining about for a long time now. When you create a tag team in Universe mode, it does not transplant to the regular portion of the game, as well as you can't take tag teams from the regular mode and put them in Universe mode. And fucking why? People have complained about that for a long time now, even before, like, essentially since there's been Universe mode, people have complained about that. And the other thing is, though, is you can carry over everything else. Your manager settings, who's your baby faces, who's your heels, all that stuff crosses between the two modes. But it doesn't, the tag team stuff doesn't cross. And of course, the tag team stuff is full of bugs and glitches, which is where I'm going to go to next. This has all the bugs and glitches from WWE 2K19 and more. Like, there's so many more glitches here. And it's like, listen, okay, you had WWE 2K19, you had WWE 2K20, you didn't have WWE 2K21, and then you had WWE 2K22. So there was a 2-year gap. They had 2 years to get rid of bugs and actually improve little things in the game that people have been wanting improved. And, like, no, they somehow made it worse. Like, how do you fuck that up? Either ways, the next thing, crashes. I suffered multiple crashes with this game. I suffered crashes with 2K19 as well, don't get me wrong. But I definitely, once again, it's like, you had 2 years, guys. You had 2 years to fix this. And you didn't. You managed to fuck it up. Next thing, bust. Yes, created wrestler stuff. The bust on women. Okay, I know this sounds a little weird, but not every woman in wrestling is flat-chested. Actually, most of them rather enjoy their enhancements. Angelina Love comes to mind. And pretty much has always been the case. I don't understand why the creators of the 2K series of WWE games thinks that every female wrestler is flat-chested. Trust me, if you go looking in wrestling, no, none of them are flat-chested. But that's neither here nor there. And I know that kind of may sound perv to some of you people. But here's the thing about it. When I make wrestlers, when I download wrestlers, I want my wrestlers to look like the actual wrestlers, or at least as close as you can get within the confines of the game. And some of the creators do really amazing jobs. But it's also really unfortunate to still have to see creators essentially come up with ways to make particularly the female wrestlers. It's not so much the males. The male wrestlers, you have almost absolute creative freedom within the confines of the game, and even more so in WWE 2K19. But it just seems like a limitation that it's like, why is this still a limitation? And it was a feature that was in WWE 2K17, I believe, if I remember correctly, I was reading about it, and like they pulled the feature for 2K18, and it still has yet to return. And essentially, creators have come up with ways to make the female wrestlers' chest size, if you will, look accurate. I have no idea, like, and that's also one of those things. It's like people have been complaining and been wanting this feature returned. I don't know. I mean, as long as creators are doing what they are doing to kind of trick the system to make it look like, their actual chest size, okay, fine. But it would be nice to see that brought back. I don't understand why you get so much creative freedom with the male wrestlers and get next to no creative freedom with the female wrestlers. Seems a bit ridiculous to me. And there you go. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. There's no promos in Universe mode. Now, this is another one of why. Listen, folks, this is what I'm going to say about 2K19. When it comes to the promos in the Universe mode, don't get me wrong. They were not the greatest. Honestly, they were kind of crap. But admittedly speaking, what that did is that took a moment to let you, the player, come up with your own creative freedom, your own headcanon of, yeah, these are what, you got Stain and Kurt Angle cutting a promo on each other, and this is what they're saying. And the nice thing is by having that on the card, that allows you the opportunity to expose wrestlers that are not necessarily wrestling on the card at all. Kurt Angle wrestled a lot less than he was exposed for my WWE 2K19 universe. He was like the top star, but he only wrestled once, maybe twice a month. But every show, he cut a promo. He was there all the time. And it just, to me, it feels lackluster not being able to essentially schedule promos in your universe mode. And that is one thing I definitely want to see make a comeback for 2K23, because if it doesn't make a comeback for 2K23, I'm out. I'm not even going to bother getting it. Now, moving on to the next part is the long load times. This thing definitely has some really, really long load times at times. And yeah, I don't think it's my PC either. I play much harder to run games than this with no problems. This one just... And the load times seem random too at times. Like, going from match to match, sometimes the load times can be really long, especially when you start talking about created wrestlers. Either ways, what I have to say overall with the negatives is the 2K sports guys, Visual Concepts, y'all had 2 years, and this game is still fucking raw. And it's that simple. It's still raw. All the issues that you had in 2K19 somehow makes a comeback, and you add additional. And then you want $120 for the game, which I'm going to get into now. So WWE 2K22, the base game, is $60. Now the deluxe edition is $100. Now if you want all of it, now what the deluxe edition does is it adds the DLC wrestlers except for the NWO. Now, with the NWO edition, it's pretty much the deluxe edition, plus you get the NWO DLC. Which, honestly, if you're getting 2K19 or 2K22 now, $120? No. I definitely would not pay $120 for this game. Honestly, in my honest opinion, even for the base game, when you remove the DLC wrestlers, that's a steep price. So I do not recommend this game, not at that price tag. That being said, though, I still had fun with the game. I still can recommend this game, but not at that price tag. So definitely this is one of those things, either like get a key from like G2A or GOG or something like that, where maybe you're going to get like the NWO edition of the game for like maybe $60 or $80. I actually picked up the NWO edition for $40. That's a steal, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, the game's about wrestlers. The bigger the roster, in my opinion, the more fun the game is, the more opportunities and matchmaking, creativity you can have. That being said, though, I definitely want to see some real improvements between 2K22 and 2K23. Because it's honestly, in my opinion, it is disappointing to look back at like 2K19 and realize, hey, you know what? 2K19 was actually better than this game. I mean, it's still good. It's still fun. But honestly, its predecessor is better. The only thing that this game has that its predecessor doesn't have right now is online support. And I'm going to also throw out there, too, I'm not quite sure when, but this game is not going to keep its online support forever. And essentially, this game does have a shelf life. I think it's still going to be another year, though, before the server and the creator sections of the game is shut down. I'm talking about the downloads, like downloading created wrestlers. That's going to go away once it loses online support. So, yeah, I mean, this game has a shelf life. And with that being said, it's still $60 for the base game after a year. And the game does essentially have an expiration date. No, that's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Either ways, there you go. That's my thoughts, my opinions, etc. My review of WWE 2K19. This is the NWO edition. Anyway, folks, hopefully you all enjoyed the video, the rant, the whole 9 yards. And have yourself a wonderful day.